so today we'll be starting with the example session for direction sense test. So we have a couple of examples. Direction sense test is one chapter where you have more theory compared to the other chapters. But you know, when you compare with other subjects, the theory is still less. For intelligence, there's not a lot of theory. But yeah, in comparison with the other chapters, you have thoda or theory in direction sense test. So we'll do one thing, we'll just take a quick recap through the theory first so that you guys get a good idea and it'll be good revision. If you have not already watched the theory class, please go watch it first. Always watch the theory class first before watching the example class. I mean, see, if you've already studied the theory through some other means, then that's fine. But you know, I mean, you would see different books, different teachers teaching things, so not everybody has the same method. So I might have taught something extra that is not there in a book because I don't follow any particular book per se. But yeah, okay, you can try. If you have already studied from a chapter from a book, you can try just watching the example session. But if you feel like you're not able to do something or you don't understand something that I'm saying, it might be because you've not watched the theory session. So then just go back and watch the theory session also, okay? So anyway, right, so under direction sense test, basically one theory that you need to know are the four main cardinal directions, that is east, west, south and north. And you also have the sub-cardinal directions, that is, not sub-cardinal directions, sub-directions. That is, like I explained, northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, okay? So that was the first thing, and then we just did an example on that. Yeah, so this example was basically, you know, you will be given all of these. The person walks this much, and then this much, and then this much. So what is their distance? Things like that. Right, so I mean, we'll have questions of this kind. It will be much more clear then. And then we also did a question. Yeah, we've done multiple questions, but before that we did a theory on shortest distance. So shortest distance can be found using the Pythagoras theorem. I told you what the theorem is and how you can use this to find the shortest distance. So this is basically the theorem that you need to know. C square, that is hypotenuse square. This is the hypotenuse, right? So hypotenuse square is equal to square of the legs. This is called the legs of a triangle. And does this work for any triangle? No, it has to be a right angle triangle. I mean, obviously only a right angle triangle will have a hypotenuse, right? So then we did an example on that also. And then we studied something called the angle of movement. So basically the only concept you need here is that of clockwise and anti-clockwise movement. So this also, like I explained to you, clockwise is basically how a clock moves. Just think about the movement of the clock. That direction is called clockwise. Anti-clockwise is the direction that is opposite to that. Another way of seeing clockwise and anti-clockwise is if you have a bottle, the way in which you close the bottle. So I had showed it for the theory class. I had showed it using a bottle. I had shown it using a bottle. I don't have a bottle with me now. So basically, if you have a bottle and you're, you know, closing the lid, it's in the clockwise direction most often, okay? Opening the lid will be in the anti-clockwise direction, right? So we studied that, and then we also had an example on the basis of that. And then we studied something called the concept of shadow. This is also something that in the theory class, I explained this in great detail, right? How you have the concept of shadow. Basically, the thing you need to know is it will be in the opposite direction. So if the sun rises in the east, the shadow will be in the west. The sun sets in the west, the shadow will be in the east. So that's just the basic thing you need to know when it comes to the concept of shadow. So that's just there is. So basically three things. One is your, four things. One is your cardinal directions. The second one is your Pythagoras theorem. The third one is your angle of movement. The fourth one is your concept of shadow. These are the four broad topics you have under direction sense test, okay? And then there are some questions which will need your basic thinking process, and also you'll also need to know what is left, what is right, you know, how do you turn left, how do you turn right. So left, right, I'll just write it here. So I mean, here in angle of movement, and even otherwise, another concept that you need to know is left and right. You will we have done questions on this, and we'll also be doing more questions, so it will be all clear. Okay, so now let's begin with the examples. We have done a quick recap, right? At sunrise, Amrit and Dhoni have a conversation standing in front of each other. The shadow of Deepak is formed towards the right hand of Amit. what direction is Deepak facing? Okay, I think here this person is not, this person would be Dhoni, because like Deepak has not even been mentioned before, right? So it would be that this would be Dhoni. So the shadow of Dhoni is formed. Okay, this is not Deepak, this has to be Dhoni, because Deepak has not been mentioned again. That would be a mistake in the question, right? Just know that this is how it is. Amrit and Dhoni are having a conversation. They are standing in front of each other. The shadow of Dhoni is formed towards the right hand of Amit. In which direction is Dhoni facing? Okay. Sorry for the mistake. It's just I think it was a question that had an error. But yeah. Okay. Now this is clear, right? So basically, let's draw these two people. Amrit, Dhoni. They are facing each other. Just think, Amrit is looking here, Dhoni is looking here. Okay. Now the shadow of Dhoni is formed towards the right hand of Amit. Okay. Let's say the right hand of Amit. So if, for example, if they're standing facing like this, his right hand would be somewhere here, right? Just draw right hand for Amit. Okay, and his shadow is towards the right hand of Amit. So Dhoni's shadow is somewhere here. Okay. What direction is is Dhoni facing? So now for the, like we said, it is at the opposite, right? So wherever you have the shadow, the sun will be at the opposite. So now if the shadow is here, the sun has to be here. This is something that I had explained in great detail in the theory class, why this happens and all of that I had explained. So if you have any doubts, you can just watch the theory class. But the basic crux is that wherever the shadow is, the sun will be to the opposite. So if the shadow is here, so if the shadow is in front of Dhoni, sun should be behind Dhoni. That's one way to look at it. So if shadow is behind you, then the sun has to be in front of you. If the shadow is in front of you, the sun has to be behind you. Okay. So basically the sun is here. So now what direction? I want to know what direction Dhoni is facing. Okay. So what do I know? Do I know the direction of the sun? Okay, just look at the question and tell me if you have any idea about the direction of the sun. If there is anything that you see in the question, I'll just give you a couple of seconds, okay? Right, so here, yes, we do. Why? Because we have something called sunrise here. Where does the sun rise? It's something that we all know, right? Sun rises in the east and sun sets in the west. I'll just write it here. Sun rises in the east, sets in the west. This is something that we all know. So now, here, if the sun has risen here, this direction is the east. Okay, I'll just draw the main cardinal directions here. How does it look? South, north, east, west, right? So I know that this direction is the east. So basically here you have the east. So this direction will be the west. So now he is facing. So he should be facing ideally towards the west, but then you're given something that, the shadow is formed towards the right hand of Amit is what you said, right? So if Amit is here, so just think, okay, just imagine Amit is standing here. His right hand is somewhere here. So the shadow is formed somewhere here. So it's not, if Deepak is in the east, means this is his west. But his shadow is not formed here, it's formed somewhere here. Right, so where is that? So it will be somewhere here is what we are thinking of. Okay, so this will be south and this will be north. So his shadow is formed somewhere here. Okay, now what is this? So this is ideally southwest, but you do not have southwest in the options. So then it is either west or south. Again, you don't have west in the options either, so you know that south is the answer. Okay, as simple as that. So basically the only concept you need to know here is that shadow, the shadow concept. The concept of shadow is the only thing you need to know, and also a good eye. You need to just know that this thing has been mentioned in the question, right? That's it. So we're done with direction sense test. First example, moving on. If A is to the north of B, C is to the east of B, and D is to the south of C, then in which direction is D with respect to A? You have A to the north of B. Okay, so what do we mean when we say A is to the north of B? Basically, if you draw a line from B that faces north, you will see A there. Okay, C is to the east of B. Basically, if you draw a line from B to the east, you will see C there. D is to the south of C. Draw a line from C to the south and you will see D there. This is what we mean. Okay. Then in which direction is D with respect to A? So this is your A, this is your D. Which direction is? So here, okay, now just draw the cardinal directions for A. Okay. So if you draw the cardinal directions for A, it's going to be something like, one second. I'll take indigo, okay. It's going to be, this is going to be south, this is going to be north, this is going to be east, this is going to be west. Okay, so now ideally D is supposed to be somewhere in the southeast, but you don't have southeast as an option, right? So if you look comparatively, so D, does it look like it's in the south or the east? It looks more, it has a more tendency towards seeming the south, right, than the east, and so south is the answer. So usually you need to look at the options and see, right? So you don't have, if you had southeast, southeast would have been the perfect answer because this is where D is, but you don't have southeast. So then think, okay, is it closer to the south or is it closer to the east? You get the answer that it is closer to the south, and so south becomes the answer, right? You're done. Moving on, if north is to the right of east, south is to the left of west, and west is to the left of north, okay, lot of directions, then in which direction is south to west? So basically here, like you see here, these cardinal directions are mentioned in, what is this called? Single quotes, right? So basically what they mean is that north, east, south and west are not our conventions of what they are. Okay, the directions are given to us. We need to write north, east, south and west on the basis of these directions. So basically what we need to do here is that north is to the right of east. So draw east, draw north to its right. This is the right of east, right? So just draw north to its right. South is to the left of west. This let it stay because we don't really know where to bring it, right? Because south and west, but where do you draw it in this picture? We don't know, because in this picture you only have east and north. So we'll see if there is anything else that's said later on. West is to the left of north. Okay, we know this. So, okay, so but now we have a problem because in the left you already have east. So west could either come here. We can draw two cases. Either west can come here or west can come here, okay? We're drawing it as dotted lines because we're not sure, but this could be the case. In case you cannot see the dotted line, I'll just draw it like this, okay? Then which direction is south? Okay, so now we have gotten this. So now we can draw this. South is to the left of west. Now what will that mean? Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just draw this more. So we have a west here. This is a possible situation for west. And then you have east, and then this is a possible position for west, okay? And then you have north. Why am I drawing it on dotted lines? Because this is not the actual position. I don't want you to confuse that, oh, west is at two places. No, this is not the actual position. This is a possible position. So I'm drawing it as a dotted line. Now I am told that south is to the left of west. So south could either come here. This is the left of west, or it could come here, or it could also come here. Why? Because this position is also to the left of west, right? It's not wrong. This is to the left of west. So you have like three possible positions for south. Anyway, the question is, what direction is south to west? This, in whatever case it is, you see that south is to the left of west, right? And this is actually, you do not even have to draw this whole figure. This is something you're given here, that south is to the left of west. So, I mean, you didn't even have to draw this figure because you're given here that south is to the left of west. So, when the question asks which direction is south to west, it has to be left. Okay, but here the issue is you don't, they don't want left or right. They want you to write it in terms of directions. Okay, so now, south is to the left of west, you know that. But what direction is this is my question. which direction is south to west? But see, in that case also it's easy, because left is south is to the left, right? What is left? Left is west. Okay, so this, in case, this is also something we had explained in the theory class, but I'll just say it. I mean, you guys might find it irritating that I say, okay, this is explained in theory class, explained in theory class. The only reason I do it is because I don't want you to think, when I explain things, I don't want you to think that these things are being explained in a very, are not being explained well, right? So there's that, right? So when a teacher already says something and the teacher knows that it's recorded and students can always access it, the second time, not the second time, but the third or fourth time the teacher says it, will be a little, it won't be as detailed as the first time. Right, so the reason I'm doing it is because I know you can always go access the theory lectures. Right, so the example lectures are basically, the point is, in less time, we need to solve as many questions as possible. So I cannot spend a lot of time explaining things, but these are things that I've explained multiple times already before, but still I'll try to explain it in a good way, okay? Just that we won't be going into the depths of it, just the level that you need for doing these questions, okay? So this is, yeah, so basically, okay, so when we say left, what we mean is west. So basically north is, top, you could say, as south is bottom, east is right, west is left. Okay, so when we say left, essentially what we mean is west. Now, so when you say south to west, okay, this might seem confusing, but basically here it's written in single quotes, right? So these things are mainly like written as names, south, west, single quotes. What we mean is that this is not the same, like I said at the beginning. This is not the same as our conventional directions. This is different from what our conventional directions are. But now in this answer, when you choose, we need to choose our conventional direction, okay? Because here you did not have single quotes. You're just asked, there are no single quotes, right? You're just asked to find the direction. So here you need to choose the conventional direction. So which direction is south to west? So south is to the left of west, right? So the left is basically west. The answer is west. So basically you can say south is to the west of west, because here the north and south are different, because see, here you see that west is to the left of north. That's not the case, right? West is not to the left of north. So, and you see that south is to the left of west. That's not how it is actually. These are just, so like, see, just treat these as normal words. If somebody said, if x is to the right of y, s is to the left of z, z is to the left of x, then in which direction is s to z? This is basically like that. And then you say west. So don't confuse between what this is and what this is. Just treat these as some other random elements. Give it some other name if it's so confusing. Just x, y, z, something like that. And then you'll get the answer. Okay. Moving on. Example 4. The time in clock is 12:15. If the hour hand points to the east, which is the direction opposite to the minute hand is our question. So you basically have 12:15. Okay, now this is some usage. I'm not sure if you guys have learnt this, but things like this, what does it mean? Okay, if you have never seen this before, just guess what time would be 12:15. What time is this referring to? Just guess. I'll give you some time. Just take a wild guess. Okay, time's up. So basically, 12:15 means 12:15. These are some common usages. So I'll tell you, you have, there is 12:15, which is 12:15. 12:15 is 12:15. And then 12:30. 12:30 is 12:30. Okay. And then there is also something, okay, I mean, this is just not for 12, okay, I mean, if you say 1:15, it is 1:50, 1:30 is 1:30, right? So this works for others also. So 1:15, 1:15 is 1:15, 12:15 is 1:30, and then there is also something called quarter to. So quarter to, sorry, this is not this two. I was about to write TWO, but it's not TWO. This is TO2. Quarter, sorry, yeah. Quarter to 1 is 12:45. How is that? So what we mean by quarter is 15 minutes. Quarter is used, okay, I mean, how do you get this? I'll tell you. What is the quarter of a circle? Quarter is known as 1/4, right? So if you have a circle, I'm actually teaching you math at this point. So if you have a circle, the quarter is basically 1/2. So if you see the circle as a clock, okay, see the circle as a clock, 12, 3, 6, 9. What is the quarter? It is 15 minutes, right? So from 0 to 3 is 15. 3 is 3 5s are 15, right? So this is 15 minutes. So what we mean by quarter is basically 15 minutes. So when you say 12:15, basically what we mean is 15 minutes after 12, past. You would have heard of past, right? So something past something is this much after this. So 12:15 means 15 minutes after 12. 12:30. So what is the half? So if you have a circle, what is the half of a circle? This much, right? So if you write this in terms of a clock, 12, 3, 6, 9. Half of a clock is basically this much, that is half an hour. So 12:30 means 30 minutes past 12. Now quarter to 1 means you have 15 minutes to 1. So after 15 minutes it will become 1. Quarter to 2 means after 15 minutes it will become 2. 2 a.m., 2 p.m., whatever, 2 o'clock you can say, right? So then the time is 12:45, because from 12:45 if you add 15 minutes it becomes 1. So 15 minutes minus 1 o'clock is 12:45. Similarly you have, but half to 1 is actually not used much. I think these are enough. Quarter past, half past, quarter to, okay? So when you say 12:15, you mean 15 minutes after 12, okay? Now, if the hour hand points to the east, which is the direction opposite to the middle, sorry, not middle hand, minute hand. Okay, so basically you have, so how would you have 12:15? 1 second. Yeah, how would you draw 12:15? Basically, let this be a clock. If this is 12, this is how 15 would be, right? 3. 12, 3, 16. So this is how 12:15 would look like. If the hour hand points to the east, basically this direction is the east. So we usually write this direction as the north, right? But here we are told to write it as the east. Then which direction is the direction opposite to the minute hand? So we want this direction. This is the direction opposite to the minute hand. So now how do you know? If this is the east, should this be the north or should this be the north is our question, right? So basically just try drawing the directions first, okay? Just draw it somewhere else. North, sorry, north, I'm just too much into the question. South, east, west. So basically, if east is here, north is to basically the left side of east. Basically, if you go anti-clockwise, you will get north. This is anti-clockwise direction, right? So if you go in the anti-clockwise direction, that is when you will get north. So from here also go in the anti-clockwise direction. Then here you will get north. So this is going to be north, not this. So this is the direction opposite to the minute hand, right? Minute hand is in this direction. So whatever this direction is, the opposite, we don't even have to know what this direction is. We can just directly find this. So the opposite to the minute hand, is this, and so it is at north. So the answer here is north, okay? Okay, right. So now we will be doing the 6th question. Basically, Lakshman went 15 kilometers from the west to the west from his house, then turned left and walked 20 kilometers, okay? He went 15 kilometers from his house, and then he turned left and he walked 20 kilometers. He then turned east and walked 25 kilometers and finally turned left and covered 20 kilometers. Okay, that's a lot of walking that Lakshman has done. Right, so basically what do we need to find here? How far is he now from his house? That is our question. Okay, basically, so you know that Lakshman is standing here. He went, let's put Lakshman here, and we'll do one thing, we'll just draw all the directions here. Okay, so let's say he went 15 kilometers to the west from his house. What is the direction? This is the direction. When we say west, it's this direction, right? So let's draw 15 kilometers here. He then turned left and walked 20 kilometers. Now, this is something that I have explained in the theory class. I'll just briefly explain it now. How do you find the left? There are two ways. One, you just look at the direction where the person is facing and try to imagine yourself in that position. So in here, the person is facing this direction, right? So if the person is facing, that means it's something like this. So if I'm standing like this, my left is here. So since the person is facing this direction, his left will be here. Okay, so he turned left and walked 20 kilometers would look something like this. Draw a longer line for 20 kilometers. Another way to look at it is basically the direction which the person is facing, keep it at as north. Okay, this is like if you find putting yourself in the position thing difficult, you can just do this. So the direction in which the person is facing, keep that as north, and then try to find west. So how do you find east or west from north? Basically, just one thing, remember, if you go clockwise from north, you get east. This is the clockwise direction, right? So if you go clockwise from north, you get east first. Okay, so if north is here and I go clockwise from north, what I see first is going to be east. So the opposite is going to be west. And when we say left, what we mean is west. Okay, we mean left when we say west, and we mean right when we say east. Okay, so once we have gotten that, he turned left and he walked 20 kilometers. He then turned east and he walked 25 kilometers. So basically he's standing here. How do you find east? Okay, this is the direction in which he's facing, right? Keep that as his north. Now find the clockwise. Clockwise gives you this direction. So now this is going to be east. Or just think yourself in this position. So basically, if he was standing here, okay. So he's here, right? So if he was standing here, what would be his east? Just think like that. So if he was standing here, basically like this would be east, would be his right, right? So then he will be, oh, okay. This question is actually west here. It's not east. I'm sorry about that. So it's basically west in this question. I just remembered because it has to be in this direction. Yeah, just make that small change. So basically, if it's west here, then it has to be here, right? He has to basically go, one second. So if it's west, he basically has to go in this direction. So he turned west and he walked 25 kilometers would be like this. Okay, how do you get west? Again, you have north here. If you go clockwise from north, what you see is east. The opposite to that will be west. So this is west. He turned west and he walked 25 kilometers. So this is 25, just imagine. And then he finally turned left. So what is the left? Just imagine you're this person. I'm finding the directions using both methods. You can find whatever is easy for you. So if you're this person, you're facing this, your left will be here, right? So his left will be here. So he turned left and he covered 20 kilometers. Okay. So here, how much is 20? So if you see here, we have 20 kilometers. If this distance is 20 kilometer, you will have the same distance here, right? Because this was a straight line. I mean, my drawing is bad, but this is ideally a straight line. So 20 kilometers would be the equivalent to this distance. So basically, you just reach this point. All you need to do is find this distance. How much is this distance is the question. So here, basically, again, this is also something that we had discussed in depth in the theory class. Okay, so basically this distance and this distance will be the same because these two are like straight parallel lines, right? Since these two are straight parallel lines, this distance and this distance will be the same. Basically this distance, so let's give this x. you have that 15 plus x is 25. Okay, 15 plus x will be 25, and so x will be 25 minus 15. That is, what is 25 minus 15? 10, right? So the answer is 10 kilometers. Okay, so how far is he now from his house? The answer will be 10 kilometers to that. Okay, why? Because this is, here you have, these are parallel lines. So basically, if you have lines that are seem at the same width, then you can say that these two will be the same. Like, see, if I draw a, okay, I'm very bad at drawing, but if you draw a straight line here and a straight line here, this distance will be the same as this distance, right? Like, think of a ladder, for example. In a ladder, you have those rails that you climb. All of those will be at the same distance, right? But at the same time, if it's something like this distance is clearly not the same as this distance, right? But in this case, since you're drawing like straight roads and lines is 90-degree, this will be the same distance. So 25, this will be 15 plus x, okay? And that's it, you're done. So you've gotten 10 meters. So here 10 kilometer, here, sorry, there was a mistake. It's supposed to be west and not east, okay? So we still have more examples, but we'll do one thing, we'll do it in the next session, right? Because there are quite some more examples. We'll continue this session. As of now, we are done. We'll have some more examples.